Okay, good morning. Today we're going to be doing Engage New York, Module 3, Lesson 15. You'll need the classwork and the problem set. Locating ordered pairs on the coordinate plane. On the board I have some vocabulary words that you should already know that we're going to be working with today. We're going to start with the classwork. Example number 2, components of the coordinate plane. All points on the coordinate plane are described with reference to the origin. What is the origin and what are its coordinates? So the origin is a vocabulary word that we have talked about before. And see if you can remember what does that mean and where would it be located on the coordinate plane. The origin is one spot where the axes meet. So where the x-axis and the y-axis intersect. We can use the word intersect. That's a little more academic. So this point here is the origin. And so think about the x-axis as a number line, the y-axis as the number line. What number on each line would that represent? We can talk about that in just a second. To describe locations, I'm reading now from the bottom. To describe locations of points on the coordinate plane, we use blank of numbers. So if I were going to plot a point here, how could I describe the location of that point? What do we use for that? We use an ordered pair. So on that blank, you need to write ordered pair. Ordered pair is a set of numbers that give a location on a coordinate plane. Another word for ordered pair, aka coordinates. So if I said, what are the coordinates? I'm asking for the ordered pair. Now, we set those up in parentheses. It says, order is important. So on the coordinate plane, we use the form blank, and it's got our parentheses there. So what order? It's asking for the order. What does the first number represent? It is our x-coordinate, and so the second number is our y-coordinate. So the form that we use is an xy form. The first coordinate represents the point's location from 0 on which axis. So if it's our x-coordinate, it's telling us if we start at 0 on the x-axis, which way do we move? So that is for the x-axis. The first coordinate tells us how to move along the x-axis. And the second coordinate represents the point's location from 0 on the blank axis. So once we move right or left with our x-coordinate, then we need to go up and down along the y-axis. So make sure you have filled in those blanks. Okay, turn the page. Using the coordinate plane below, answer parts A through C. So 1A says, graph at least 5 points on the x-axis and label their coordinates. So here is our x-axis. It is horizontal number line. It follows all of the rules of other number lines. The y-axis is the vertical number line. It too follows all of the rules of a number line. Okay? And all of it is in reference to the origin. So this is always your starting point. So you're going to put 5 points on the x-axis. So it's touching the x-axis. Push pause until you do that. now that you have those 5 points on your coordinate plane, I want you to label their coordinates. So if this were my first point, it would be -2, 0. Then another point for me would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 0. So you should have 5 points along the x-axis and with their coordinates labeled. B says, what do the coordinates of your points have in common? So just looking at these 2 points, what do they share? What is the same about them? Hopefully you were able to identify that all ordered pairs have 0 as their y coordinate. That is true for both of my points. Their y coordinate is 0. All of your ordered pairs from 1A have 0 as their y coordinate. C says, what must be true about any point that lies on the x-axis? So there we are going to state a rule. So I want a sentence that is the rule. So all points that lie on the x-axis, what? All points on the x-axis have what? They all have 0 for a y-coordinate. That is a rule. If the y-coordinate is 0, that point is located on the x-axis every time. That is our rule. Let's move down to number 2. Now we're going to put 5 points on the y-axis and label their coordinates. So I might start here, 1, 2, 3, so I'm not going any direction left or right, so that would be 0. And then now up and down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my coordinates for that point would be 9. So push pause until you have 5 points along the y-axis and you've labeled their ordered pair, their coordinates. Okay, now that you have 5 points on there, again, I went 0 left and right. 1, 2, 3, 4, so that would be -4. So now, in comparing the ordered pairs from all of your points on the y-axis, what do they have in common? What do they have in common? Hopefully you notice that all of the ordered pairs have 0 for their x-coordinate. They all have 0 for their x-coordinate. They did not move away from 0 on the x-axis. So to C, asking again for the rule. What must be true about any point that lies on the y-axis? So for every point on the y-axis, what is the rule? All points on the y-axis have 0 for their x-coordinate. That is a rule. If the x-coordinate is 0, that point will lie on the y-axis. Number 3, if the origin is the only point with 0 for both coordinates, what must be true about the origin? So again, the origin is where the axes intersect. So this is the origin. Its ordered pair is 0, 0. And we can put that in our notes. The ordered pair is 0, 0. So if it has a 0 for the y-coordinate and it has a 0 for the x-coordinate, what must be true? And it's the only point that has 0 for the x and y coordinate. So origin is the only point on both axes. It is the only point on both axes. That is a statement. That is true. On this, these are only on the x-axis. These points are only on the y-axis. This is the only spot on both axes at the same time. Okay, turn it over to example number 3. Quadrants of a coordinate plane. The word quad tells us what? The root word quad means 4. And when you look at a coordinate plane, you notice that it's broken into 4 sections. When we label the quadrants of a coordinate plane, we are using Roman numerals. This quadrant, it's most common. You've started working in this quadrant much before 6th grade. This is quadrant 1. And again, we're numbering it with Roman numerals. So go ahead on your paper as 61, put Roman numeral 1 in that top right quadrant. Now these are labeled in counterclockwise. So this is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay, make sure you get those labeled before you start part 2.